Hi, loves. So I was in the process of getting ready, and Spirit like wanted me to put out a message. So I was listening to Kendrick Lamar's DNA, and a lot of people. This is like how Spirit put it to me. So we carry on traditions, knowingly and unknowingly. Okay, and it's like people don't realize. Yeah, there are a lot of us who, have. Okay, so tradition is very toxic. It's like it keeps you and your family like in a time loop, like in stagnancy. So sorry, it's like I'm getting so many messages, but like in the video, like Kendrick was the criminal, and the police officer, he says, you know, how his dad, probably snitched, so it's like that kid was like, well, damn, I may as well, become a cop, because I'm going to be going after the bad guys. But the truth is, if you watch the video, the police officer was really corrupt. Okay, so basically he was like, not on the good side. Like technically he should have been, sitting right next to Kendrick Lamar, but Kendrick's like, okay, yeah, I am a criminal. However, instead of ratting somebody out and not being in jail exactly where I am, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna do my time because that's not in my blood. Okay. And for the other guy, he probably watched his dad be a crooked cop, which is continuing the toxic cycles. And it just doesn't have to do with, criminals and, police officers. Really what it is kind of just like, okay, I am doing these, I'm committing these crimes. But the thing is, it's going to stop with me. So like he talks about how, there was a point in time when he didn't have somewhere to stay. He was homeless. And, now look at him. He's amazing. So he's a very famous artist, and, that will never be a thing for him because he's building a legacy that will last for generations. Okay, so he's like, yeah, I commit crimes, but you know what? Like, I'm going to break this in my DNA. It's going to stop with me. So a lot of people need to realize we're here to commit, these crimes and do these things so we can also break them, and change that in our DNA code. So this is the mess that I got. I know it resonates with someone. Love you guys. Bye. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue that video that I was making about Kendrick Lamar. See, there's so many people. It's like I'm seeing two teams. Okay, there's us that have a criminal background that are more than willing to not walk, if not walk in the shoes of our actually walk in the shoes of our ancestors. Okay, it's like we repeat these toxic cycles, but it's not in vain. Okay, just like, for example, I'll throw some of my shit out there. I don't give a fuck. Okay, so being a drug dealer runs in my DNA. Even an addict, being a hustler. Let me see. It's like, that's just a few examples, okay? All of that's in my DNA. Okay, I'm willing to acknowledge it. I'm willing to walk in it. And I'm also being the one to willingly break that. So when I break, go in and, I call it shadow work, which is continuing, going in and facing my demons, basically. Because it's like if we, those of us are willing to go in and do those things. And the thing is we change that when we stop those things. We literally change it in our DNA coding, okay? Which means, either A, your kids witness you breaking them because you already have your children, or, it's like you change it before, you have your kids, therefore it's literally not in their DNA. Either way, your kids witness it, they know better than to relive the cycle. And if you don't have kids, then it's literally not even going to be a thought in their process because it's not in their DNA coding, okay? But then there's the other team that I'm seeing, and it's like people who are in denial of the things that their ancestors did. So they don't go in and dive into those, what people would call toxic cycles. So they ignore them. And then they wonder why, it skipped you, but then it hits your kid. It's because you didn't go in and, do I am hearing misdeeds and break them. So people think that, oh, well, I didn't do, what I witnessed, but at the same time, you didn't break it either. You kind of put it to the wayside and ignored it. So therefore, it's going to be in your children's DNA because you didn't do it and break it. It could be a number of things. It could be, let's say somebody in your family was a rat, so you became a cop. Instead of, being a criminal and doing your sentence, it's like you completely didn't want to acknowledge it at all. So that's why it's going to hit your children's DNA. It's just all different kinds of things. Yeah, we go, it's probably not looked the best on the outside, to the outside world, when we repeat cycles, but who cares? That's another toxic cycle to break as well. So it's like, don't feel bad if you have, walked in the shoes of your ancestors and did the misdeeds. Don't feel bad at all, because it's going to be, if you want to take that out of your, DNA coding, you are going to repeat these things. And it's so you can also be the one to break them. Like, let's say you witnessed toxic love connections growing up. So now you're with a toxic ass female or male. It's because that's what you witnessed. But it's okay for you to go into that cycle. However, it is up to you to realize you're in some toxic ass shit and end it and walk away and never repeat it again. That breaks it in your DNA coding. And I got so many downloads while listening to that song. I'm not even touching on half of it. But it's like, we also have good things that have been passed down in our DNA that we should continue. But it's for you, I'm hearing, to discern, the highest good. Not what society calls good, not what your family calls good, because a lot of traditions are toxic as hell and keep you in a karmic cycle, which, keeps tradition, new traditions from coming in. So, like I said, discern what, and be willing to bring in new traditions, to be the creator of a new, a new tradition maker, that realizes certain things are toxic, certain things need to be changed, and certain things, you could be the person who carries on a new tradition that is healthy for your people. I just seen 222 on the phone as I said that. So it's like, oh my goodness, the downloads are still coming. But it's like, we're here to repeat some cycles so that we can break them, whether it's criminal activity or not. I know I would rather break all the criminal activity, be a criminal in this lifetime, so that I can, break those cycles so that my children don't have to bear them. Let me repeat that again, Spirit says, so my children don't have to bear them. That goes back to what Spirit's reminding me is to carry the sins of our father, so it's like, we're all gonna face, I would rather me carry the sins of my father than having my children carry my sins, if that makes any sense. So don't be afraid to dive in and be, what society may call a rebel or a criminal. Don't be afraid, because I know I would rather do that than to ignore the facts and ignore the things, the mistakes that my lineage has done, and be the one to, go in and do them and break them and let my kids witness me breaking them. Or, if you don't have any kids, just breaking them so that it's not in your DNA code, period. I don't know who needed to hear this, but it's like, you know, I don't want to say just like the government. I'm thinking like higher ups don't want us breaking these cycles because it keeps us in these, you know, keeps our people, you know, it's instead of it being us versus each other, or us versus them, it keeps us being us versus each other. So it's like keeps everybody from really healing, and generations from, you know, lifting curses off, you know, our people. So I feel like somebody needed to hear this. I'm gonna dive in deeper a little bit later, but for now, I gotta keep my eyes on the road. All right. Okay, so whoever needed to hear this, if it makes sense, please feel free to hit the like button and or share. I hope this helps someone, because people think that, you know, it's like Kendrick Lamar and so many other artists, not just hip-hop artists, but, you know, just different artists across the world are saying things, and people are like, oh, that's my song, but are you really listening? Because then there's those artists that are just talking about money, you know, sex, and that's another toxic cycle to break. So it's like when you hear a song, really take in what that artist is saying, because there's so much knowledge that is being spread, you know, in music. You know, some are good, just like that song. Kendrick Lamar is really smart. Kevin Gates has a lot of knowledge as well. But it's like, it's not just a song. There's healing within that song. If, you know, you would put the aside and just take in the words, listen to what's really being said, you would be amazed at what they are saying. There's a lot of healing. Of course, the beat has healing too. It makes you want to, you know, uplifts you. But, you know, just listen a little bit closer to the knowledge that's being spread in the music you're hearing. Because I feel like people hear it, but they don't hear it. You know what I